Why do we say Netflix and chill, but not Disney Plus and chill? Why do we say Google it instead of Yahoo it, or even the grammatically correct, look it up on the internet? Let's remove the digital world aside. If we look at Kleenex or Hoover or Tupperware or Band-Aid, they are all brand names that became synonymous with their industries. But why? Why did they become household names even for baby boomers? What did they do differently? Did they produce the first product of its kind? Absolutely not. Because bandages existed long before Band-Aid. Okay. Did they pay the most for advertising? Let me ask you a question. When was the last time you saw advertisement for WhatsApp? And yet each one of us in this room has WhatsApp on their phones and can't live without it. Okay. Did they have a mother company that backed their product to give away for them? Again, another question. Who of you here heard of the Amazon Fire Phone? Yeah, I didn't think so either. So, what did these companies do that the others didn't? The other companies, while they gave and produced the same products and processes, the likes of Google and Netflix changed the game. They focused more on delivering a user experience than an actual product. Okay, but why them and not the others? What did they succeed at doing that the others failed? And this is fundamentally the difference between companies that invest massive amounts in their innovation budget versus companies who even cringe at the word innovation. Because these companies don't really truly understand the meaning of innovation. Innovation isn't about producing a shiny technology or improving on a current product. Innovation is about paving the way for disruption, paving the way for radical change. Okay, how can I tell the difference between what people consider innovation and what real innovation is? Consider these two examples. Example number one, you have a car manufacturer that developed a car that does 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 2.3 seconds, outperforming its competitor who previously did it in 2.3 seconds. But do I care? Absolutely not. Do you care? I think some of you do, most of you not. But the fact is that if this change had happened or not, it wouldn't affect our daily lives. Nothing would change. If you look at another example, a startup comes out of nowhere and puts the likes of Kodak and Blockbuster out of business. This, whether we care or not, is something that impacted our lives. We all have digital cameras on our phones and we all have Netflix subscriptions. So, why would I care? Why would I care about disruption? I'm going to keep doing what I do well and keep making money. The average lifespan of a company on the S&P 500 list has dropped from the 1970s at more than 35 years down to less than 20 today, and it's going to drop down to 15 in the coming days, in the coming years. Because disruption, my friend, whether you are an individual or a company, is coming for you. When I graduated from AUS, all it took for me was to have a high GPA to stand out and perhaps a few extracurricular activities here or there. Now, companies are asking for 10 years of experience for a fresh graduate position. And the funny thing is that some applicants fulfill these criteria because from the day they enter high school, they seek internship after internship after internship until they graduate from university because life is becoming more difficult. Life is disrupting each one of us. But let me take you away from the gloom and doom. Let's look at a company that we all grew around and loved, Toys R Us. Toys R Us in the 1950s disrupted the toy industry. It became the name to seek in toys. But in 2017, they got themselves disrupted and filed for bankruptcy. Why is that? Two main reasons. Number one, they failed to keep up with the e-commerce landscape. Yes, they had an online presence, and yes, they sold toys to your door and delivered them, but nothing compared to what Amazon or eBay could offer you online. The second and most important one is consumer behavior. They failed to adapt. Kids nowadays no longer want toys. They are looking for digital products, and Toys R Us failed to deliver. And poof, Toys R Us became something of the past. Yes, we have a few stores scattered here and there, nothing compared to what we had 20 years ago. So, how can I disrupt before getting disrupted? Believe it or not, it's a very simple process. Simple but tedious. You don't have to be a coding wizard. You don't have to be a manufacturing guru. You don't even have to be a business shark to be able to deliver disruption. Number one, you need to focus on solving a real problem, not what you think is a problem, a very common mistake, a real problem. If you look to the person next to you and ask them what challenges they face on a daily basis, they're going to come up with 10, perhaps 20 challenges. But my bet is that zero of these 10 or 20 challenges are worth your time or his time or money to invest in to solve. A recent podcast I heard said that they interviewed executives in their field for hundreds of hours to come up with one problem to solve. One problem, but that problem was enough for them and their startup to succeed. If we look at Netflix solved the problem of late fees. Previously, subscribers to Blockbuster had to leave their way to go back to Blockbuster and return their rentals. And God forbid they forgot, these late fees would pile up with no mercy. It wasn't about being able to stream from your sofa or about the wide selection of movies and TV shows. It was about those fees. And this is what put Blockbuster out of business. A recent TED Talk I watched brought up an example I love. They talked about wheels on suitcases. The wheel was invented in the BC era, and suitcases were invented in the 1800s. Yet it took up until 1970 to put wheels on suitcases. And for context, they put a man on the moon 1 year before they put wheels on suitcases. And it took them 30 more years to put an additional two wheels so that you can carry your trolley up front. So you see, it only was when it became a burning desire to solve a problem that actually it took place. Number two, master the art of the possible. What that means is not that you have to know coding or manufacturing, as I said. You need to understand what tools are at your disposal to create the solution. Look at Uber, for example. Uber didn't create the internet, they didn't manufacture cars, and they certainly didn't develop online payment solutions. And yet, they combined all three to develop a disruptive solution, a solution that became a household name. Let's Uber there. You don't say let's ride hail there, right? Number at this point, I want to talk about the importance of our academic degrees in mastering the art of the possible. The academic degree that we receive from universities doesn't guarantee you the best job out there. It doesn't guarantee you to be number one in your field, but it guarantees you one thing. It broadens your horizons to understanding the art of the possible. For example, you can understand how engineering can be fused with psychology, how business can be fused with architecture, English, and math. And this brings me to the third point. Even if you have a real problem to solve and you master the art of the possible, you need a resilient business model for that to work. For example, Kodak. Kodak was one of the earliest manufacturers of digital cameras. And yet they lost their business to digital cameras because they did not make it the core business. They thought of digital cameras as an ancillary product that may or may not pique the interest of consumers. And they still invested heavily in the traditional cameras, which no one uses now. And sometimes it's simpler, sometimes it's about pricing. Airbnb went out to become an authentic traveling experience for people. And now they may be on a trajectory of failure because of the new fees that they are introducing, which makes them unaffordable and sometimes comparable to a five-star hotel. Number four, focus on delivering an experience, not on your bank account. Because if you focus on delivering experience, bank accounts will increase. Look at what experiences do. We moved from a civilization that used to sleep in caves to a civilization that complains about the Wi-Fi signal in that Airbnb room that you book through your smartphone because you cannot watch that TikTok video quickly. Civilizations in the past flourished when they were located next to water sources. And the richest people in these civilizations were the ones closest to the water source. One day, one man got fed up of having to carry those heavy water buckets all the way from the source back to his home and said, I'm going to change my experience and those of my neighbors once and for all. And he built aqueducts. And water that was once a scarce and expensive commodity for trade became a normal commodity. He disrupted water. Number five, sorry. Innovation happens at all levels, including the national one. The UAE in 1960 was a blank canvas metaphorically. In 2024, it is one of the most beautiful paintings in the world. Why? Because they disrupted at every front. What was once a country that most people on earth did not know about is now a prime location for entrepreneurs, businessmen, scientists, students, and your regular Joe for a life of security and establishment that compares to no one. How? Because they focused on delivering an unparalleled life experience which nurtures innovation, which eventually cycles back to the benefit of the UAE, putting it on an upward growth trajectory. Moving forward, I want each and every one of you in this room to believe that they have the capability to disrupt on the inside. It takes two things. It takes curiosity to ask the question, what if? What if I can deliver this experience in a better way? What if I can build on the past, not to move to the present or to the future, but to jump into a whole new dimension? And it takes courage to challenge and change the status quo, courage to dream, and more importantly, courage to act on these dreams. Google, Yahoo, Netflix, and the others all taught us that innovation and disruption isn't about being the first or the loudest in the room. It is about delivering meaningful change, and that change starts within you when you stop being an adapter and you become a leader. I'm going to leave you with this. Innovation and disruption is not an end. It is a means to delivering a creative living experience. It is about the legacy you leave beyond that initial trigger point of innovation. Because tomorrow, when you all become leaders of your companies or nations, it is all about what legacy you leave. And that legacy can start from today because all you need is passion, a problem to solve, and a commitment to thinking differently. Ladies and gentlemen, don't be participants of the future, be the creators of it. Thank you very much.